whatever we want to talk about, we're going to talk about it. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of E4 Explicit Podcast. I'm Corey, and this is Anthony Davis, a professor, and I will let you kind of tell me your background.
I'm Associate Professor of Economics at Duquesne University and the Milton Friedman Distinguished Scholar at the Foundation for Economic Education. That leads into another topic that's worth talking about, and that's inequality.
Yes.
And people get bent out of shape about inequality, and I think in many instances they make this same error that we're bumping up against with modern monetary theory, and that is they focus on the dollars. And if you've got a big pile of dollars and I have a small pile of dollars, that's a problem. So I ask my students, how many of you have $1 billion? Of course, there's no hands.
Of course, yeah.
Right?
They're college students.
Right. Yeah. And in fact, if you do the numbers, you need something like 500,000 people in front of you to expect just one of them to put their hand up when you say who has $1 billion, right?
Wow.
But so if you look at the dollars, there's lots of inequality. There's a few people who have lots of dollars and lots of people who don't have many dollars. Sure. But if you ask how many of you have smartphones, every single hand in the room goes up.
Yep.
How many of you have cars, or your parents have cars, you have access to a car? Every hand goes up. Are there exceptions? Certainly there are exceptions, but the vast majority all have these goods and services. And if you look at the distribution of goods and services, what you find is much more equality. Everybody's got, maybe your car's better than mine, or maybe your house is better than mine, but you have a car and I have a car, and they both get us from point A to point B. You have a house, I have a house. It keeps the rain out, right? Keeps me warm.
Yep.
In that sense, we're all extremely equal. And so when we talk about inequality, we focus on these dollars. And what's happening is we're misunderstanding what dollars are. The analogy I give is, let's suppose that we live in a community and there are no dollars. You do stuff, you grow food or whatever, sure. You build houses, and I do stuff. I paint houses and I fix cars and stuff like that. And maybe it's the case that the stuff I do, you value tremendously, maybe because I'm really good at it, or maybe there aren't many people who do that kind of thing. For whatever reason, you place a high value on the stuff that I do. Mm-hmm. And maybe conversely, you don't place much of a value on the stuff that you do. So you build houses, and there's so many materials around. You can build houses very easily. You got a bunch of people who help you out. It's not a big deal. And so you don't place a high value on stuff that you make. Yep. And what happens in this society, we trade. I do the stuff I do for you. You do the stuff you do for me. Now, if we live in a society in which the value of the stuff that I do is tremendous, and the value of the stuff I ask for in return isn't that high, you'd point to me and say, that's the kind of guy I want as my next door neighbor. He provides more value to the rest of society than he asks for in return.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but if you impose on that scenario a monetary system, what happens is you give me lots of dollars because you highly value what I give you, and you don't ask for many dollars in return because the stuff you're giving me you don't place a high value on. And so I accumulate a pile of dollars.
And I get nothing, basically.
Well, you're getting the goods and services. You have less of a pile of dollars. I have a larger pile of dollars. But what is this pile of dollars? It's a bunch of IOUs. It says that you owe me more stuff that I'm not consuming because you valued the stuff I gave you more than you valued the stuff you gave me in return.
That makes sense.
So when you look at the pile of dollars, we say, well, this guy needs to give back to society. No, the pile of dollars is an indication that society actually owes him more stuff than he's currently consuming.
Wow. Well, it's kind of like what you said earlier about like the, about the value of.
It goes back to the value of what it is you're producing.
Exactly.
So I think, not to say that all inequality discussions are flawed, but I think a lot of them are flawed when they start immediately focusing on the dollars.
Dollar amount, yep.
Yeah.
No, I agree, yeah. So what you're saying is kind of like, okay, yeah, you might have a mansion, I might have a trailer, but in reality, neither one of us are living on the street.
Right, yeah.
Right? So we're technically equal, but you're just saying don't look at it as like a monetarily thing. Like it's not. That's where it could
look at the goods and services. Yeah.
Got it. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
That'd probably be a much easier conversation versus like, well, you're a millionaire and and I'm not, so you're a piece of shit or whatever, like. Now, do you mean inequality as far as like women in the workforce?
No, I mean income inequality.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So let's clarify, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
'Cause I
Thank
want
you.
people like-
That's important.
Yeah.
My colleague James Harrigan, who's a political philosopher, does the same thing. He always gets on to me when I say inequality. He said, "What do you mean by inequality?"
What do you mean?
Right, but being an economist, when I say inequality, of course I mean income inequality.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
what we
But
talk
when
about.
People hear it, they're gonna be like, "What do you mean? What about women?"
Right.
Or whatever. So like, let's clarify a little bit about like you're just literally talking about economics. You're not
Right,
talking
that's correct.
about-
No, I'm not talking about anything social.